I'm talking today with Scott Poole, Professor of Communication from Texas A&M University. Scott is the author of Adaptive Structuration Theory. Scott, what's the core idea?
The core idea of this theory is that members in groups are creating the group as they act within it, but that people often don't realize this. The point of structuration theory is to make them aware of the rules and resources that they're using so that they can have more control over what they do in groups. A lot of times people in groups build up structures that are or working arrangements that are very uncomfortable for them, and they don't realize that they're doing it.
When you use the word structure, I get the idea of a jungle gym or Legos or a skeleton. The term structure doesn't click exactly with me for groups. Could you say more about that?
Yes. Structures, of course, in traditional group studies, structures have usually been used to refer to things like status orders that emerge in the group, where you kind of have a pecking order in the group, where one person is more prominent than another. We tend to look at structures as though they're just there. And that's what structuration theory attempts to do, is to look at the structure not as something that's permanent, but as something that's constantly being created by the people in the group. And it adopts a little bit different notion of structure than we would use in common sense. That is, in structuration theory, we look at the structure as continuously evolving. So, we have a status order in the group. Well, that status order is really created by the communication among the people in the group.
One term that Giddens uses, and you use, and I think both of you say it's the most important part of structuration theory, is the idea of duality of structure. Yes. And when I say that, my students think of two jungle gyms or skeletons. What does duality of structure mean?
Duality refers to the idea of every time we invoke a structure in interaction, we're both producing it and reproducing it. That is, we're drawing on it as we act, and that way we're producing it. If I decide to call for a vote in a group, I'm creating for that instant in the group. And I know this is a hard notion to get a handle on. It's a hard theory. It's a hard notion to grasp. But the idea is that when you call for a vote, you're in effect creating that rule as an operative rule to act on at that moment in the group. You're laying it on the table. And people can, of course, refuse to do that vote. People do. They say, I don't want to take a vote right now. Well, that structural bid has failed, and something else is on the table. Well, you're producing it then. After you take the vote, you have created a memory in the minds of the people in the group that a vote is taken, and perhaps a tradition in the group, and perhaps you're reenacting that tradition. So, in effect, you're reproducing that as a structure that the group is likely to draw on in the future. And the idea of the duality of structure is a very important one, I think, because it recognizes that it is the social action of people that create structures. Structures that human beings create exist only insofar as they use them and keep them alive.
So it's, in groups, a use it or lose it.
That's right, and the duality of structure refers to that very slippery notion that whenever we act, we're using a structure to act, but our action is also creating the grounds for that structure's existence. We're producing it, using it.
And later on that boxes us in.
It could.
But we could still break out.
That's right, and that's the beauty of being a human being, because as a human being, we can always be innovative.
Scott, almost all students are in groups. A student goes into a group, doesn't like what's happening, is either bored or feels run over. What do you suggest?
There's a couple of things that theory of structuration would suggest as concrete advice. One of those is the method that I mentioned earlier, which is to make small changes in your behavior. If you feel like you're being run over in the group, be a little bit more assertive. You don't have to call people on the carpet. You don't have to just push your way into the conversation. But just start being conscious of when your opportunities to participate are, and jump in. And once you start doing that, you're going to restructure the group implicitly. And if you keep doing it, you'll create a group where people in the group actually look to you. The second way you can change the structure of the group is to undertake a major intervention. That is, to do something that really makes people aware of the structure. You know, like to say to the member who's not showing up every day, say, you're not showing up at our meetings. You know, we have a report due in 3 weeks and you're not showing up. Why aren't you? You know, if you're not, we need to talk to the instructor of the class, and maybe you can be reassigned or find a different assignment. Something like that startles people, and it makes them aware of patterns and habits that have been undertaken, and often they'll alter them. Now, the nature of the process of structuration says that we never know where that effort at alteration will turn out. The ultimate result may be something that you didn't plan for originally.
As I read the theory, I think that there's a little bit of critical edge to structuration theory, and I know that you think adaptive structuration theory has got to have a critical edge. Is that what it is, that you can make the world better for other people?
That's right. That's right. It's becoming aware of the structures in society that may trap you in a certain position and taking actions to change them, because that's the essence of critical theory, really, is to say that things are not really the way they seem. You're actually in a disadvantaged position or a disempowered position because of structures that give certain people advantage.
Let's broaden out for a second. You wrote an article that's often cited asking why there are so few good group theories.
Group theories?
Why are there so few good group theories?
Well, I probably shouldn't have given the article that title. You're occasionally a little regretful about the things that you say. And what I really should have said is, how can we build more attractive group theories? In my judgment, most of the theories in the group area offered very good explanations. What they lacked a little bit sometimes was that they didn't excite people to follow up and do a lot of research. So in that article, I probably sounded a little more pessimistic than I really am about the theories in the group area.
You don't sound pessimistic today.
Oh, I never feel pessimistic about theories. They're wonderful things.